Hey, holy smokers, this ain't no jokers. Oh my goodness, guys, I caused so much controversy yesterday, and I didn't even realize this was gonna be controversial. I just did a video stating why I have no money in index funds, and I went into the 3 reasons why I personally don't have money in index funds, and oh my goodness, guys, I got a lot of hate from a lot of individuals out there. I was reading through the comments. There were people saying things like, you're gonna get destroyed in the next recession. There were some comments saying, I can't wait to see him get destroyed in the next recession. One person said, yeah, like Tesla's going to 0 in the next recession, the next stock market crash. Tesla stock's going to go to 0. Another person said something along the lines of, I want to impeach Jeremy out of the United States of America. I'm like, dude, you can't impeach me. I just make YouTube videos and just invest money. How are you going to impeach me? I'm not the president. This was insane. So I thought this video would be perfect. Let's go ahead and dive into my portfolio and let's talk about if I'm going to be destroyed the next stock market crash, the next recession that happens. I want to look through these stocks and I want to talk about them on an individual basis, and let's really talk about this. How bad will I be destroyed in the next stock market recession? Now, also, okay, for those individuals that think they're going to hide out in an index fund and everything's going to be perfectly fine and they're not also going to get destroyed in the next recession, let me just let me try to save you for a minute, okay? So if you didn't already know, let's just go back to the last recession, 2007 to 2009. Do you know what happened to the S&P 500 during that time? It dropped 50%. Yes, it dropped 50%, okay? So if you think you're gonna be safe and you're not also gonna get destroyed in the next recession just by hiding out an index fund, I can promise you, you are 100% wrong. You will get destroyed as well, okay? Everybody gets destroyed that is in the stock market pretty much during a recession scenario, okay? It's like the J. Cole song. He says, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't save her. And that's how I feel in this situation. Some people think, oh my gosh, nothing bad happens if you're in an index fund or something like that. And I'm like, no, you'll probably lose, a significant portion of your value, and then it'll take a while to come back, and eventually it will come back, and eventually you will make money. But if you think you won't get destroyed in the short term, you're 100% wrong. You will get destroyed in the short term, regardless if you're owning individual stocks or you're in an index fund. It's just the way it goes, okay? So without further ado, let's start getting into this portfolio. This is my public account that is available in my private stock group where everybody can see every single move I can make in this account. And this account's about 2 years old now, and I created this account for a couple of reasons. One, so all the members in there can see exactly how I run a big portfolio, why I'm buying into certain stocks, why I'm selling off of certain stocks, and also I want the track record, so just in case down the road I want an account that everything's been documented for a 5, 10, 15 year span, and let's just say I want to start a hedge fund or something down the road, and I can show, oh, I've outperformed the market by this much on average each year. I can go ahead and do that, and it'll be very easy. So once again, this account's almost 2 years old, and it's going pretty dang good. So let's start going through these positions by positions, talk about the next time a stock market crash 2020, recession 2020, is it happening, or is it going to be just in the future? Cruisy doozy's the first one up here, okay? Well, first off, in order for us to get destroyed on cruise, we're going to have to go negative on cruise, and we're up over 80% on our Cirrus Logic position. So just, real quick here, we would have to lose a ridiculous amount of those gains just to start getting destroyed, right? And to actually have the stock go down. So in relation to that, there's a long way to go from there to there, okay? But Cirrus Logic, they're an audio player. They sell into all the biggest smartphone manufacturers out there. And if we got a stock crash scenario, a recession scenario, bad economic times or something like that, people probably would cut back on some smartphone spending and things like that. So Cirrus Logic should at least be negatively affected in the short term because of something like that. However, Cirrus Logic does have more chips coming out over the next couple years that they're going to be able to get even more content, especially because of voice biometrics chip in new iPhones and Samsungs and things like that. So likely, even if, let's say, less smartphones were sold in future years, which by the way, I think there's going to be a big pickup once 5G comes out, but let's let's say smartphone volumes drop, Cirrus Logic would likely still increase revenues and profits because of their new content they have coming into a lot of these phones. So could the stock get hit in a recession or a stock market crash? Probably, but not nearly as bad as one might think, okay? Next one up here is good old elf on a shelf. Good old Elfie, all right? So we need to lose a lot of gains to go negative on elf and actually get destroyed, as a few people were saying. Can't wait till you get destroyed in the next recession, Jeremy. Can't wait to see you get destroyed in the next stock market crash. Oh man, so glad I know how certain people feel out there, okay? Smash me a thumbs up if you don't feel like that and you don't want to see me get destroyed, okay? Elf on a Shelf, we're up 136% on that. And that's a name that, once again, we would have to lose a ridiculous amount of gains to even go negative on that. But Elf, let's talk about Elf real quick. Elf is a cosmetics player, makeup player on the very lower end. If you know anything about Elf's products, they're very, very affordable. One of the most affordable makeup players out there that actually still puts out really good products, but at extremely low price points. And let's say there was a stock market crash, a recession, something bad happened in the economy, a lot of folks would just trade down to a product like Elf because they wouldn't be able to afford, a lot of these makeup products, not a lot of you guys probably, it's mostly guys that watch my channel. 95% of you guys are guys watching this channel. Only about 5 to 10% of the females out there. By the way, smash the thumbs up if you are a female and you're watching this channel right now. But a lot of you guys don't even realize, like, a lot of makeup products sell at the $30, $40, $50, even more than $50 price points, okay? While someone like an Elf is at like the $5 to like $15 price point. So there's a massive, massive difference there. And if we did have bad economic times or something like that, there was a stock market crash, there was a recession, whatever, likely a lot of people would just trade down to a product like Elf because they make really good products that are really affordable, and a business like Elf would actually probably be helped out by a situation like that, okay? Next one down here is good old Facebook. This is our biggest position. Once again, a position that would have to go down quite a bit just to start getting destroyed on this stock. And in terms of Facebook stock, this is one of the companies I think would benefit the most by bad economic time. Because what you have right now is, if you know anybody that has a limited marketing budget, meaning they don't have a ton of money to spend, they need to get the most bang out of their buck, where are they spending their money? They're spending it on two platforms, Facebook and Instagram, and both those platforms are owned by Facebook, okay? And so you gotta ask yourselves, if those type of individuals are spending, every dollar they can on those platforms, why aren't the big companies? Well, a lot of the big companies are starting to, and they're starting to realize the power of Facebook and the power of Instagram, but they're very old school in their thinking, and they have these huge marketing budgets, millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. And a lot of that money is wasted compared to how much bang for their buck they get on Facebook and Instagram. But what will happen, and Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all the time. If you ever watch Gary V and you know a lot of his content, I've heard him say it on many occasions, and I 100% agree with him. What will essentially happen in the next recession scenario, the next time things get hard, marketing budgets will pull back. So all of a sudden, a company that had $50 million to spend on marketing will all of a sudden go down to $15 million. So now, if you only got 15 to play with instead of 50, now you need to make that money stretch as far as possible. And you really have to think about, okay, what's the best place we can use this money? And if you're a company that was spending $5 million on advertising, and now you got $500,000 to spend on advertising, which happens essentially in a recession scenario, you got to really start thinking about, where is the smartest places to spend my money? And if you're thinking about the smartest places to spend your money, it is Facebook and it is Instagram in regards to advertising. You just the amount of data those companies had that you can specifically target after, it's on a whole other level versus pretty much any other option out there. And so what would happen in a recession scenario is a lot of companies would start spending money with Facebook and Instagram that had never spent money, and a lot of companies would start spending a lot more money because they realized this is going to get us a lot more bang for a buck. We don't just have crazy advertising budgets. We can't just spend money on television, even though we might have an idea of who might be watching that, but we don't really know. When it comes to Instagram and Facebook, you're not betting on maybe certain individuals watching this. No, you're betting on sure things. Like, they know everything. They know if you're a male or a female. They know how old you are. They know what restaurants you eat at. They know everything. And in that type of scenario, a company like Facebook will benefit huge in the short term and in the long term, because then those companies are going to realize, oh yeah, this was what helped get us through that really tough time, that stock market crash recession scenario. And you know what? Now that things will eventually get better, they'll start spending more and more of their advertising budgets on Facebook, okay? So, you know, that's Facebook for you. Fizzy get dizzy. So Fizz, they make a lot of different drink products, the main one being the LaCroix products. And when it comes to drink products, you know, Coca-Cola's, Pepsi's, you know, a LaCroix product, Monster, those type of products, even in recession scenarios, even in bad economic times or stock market crashes, whatever you want to say, usually those type of companies still do just fine. So a company like Fizz, I would not expect it to get hit very hard during a recession or something like that. It's possible to a certain extent, as with everything, it would get hit to a certain extent, but just at the end of the day, those drink makers, they just don't get hit that hard. Same thing with a lot of the fast food players. Like sometimes they can even benefit during a recession, because it's not talking about big spend with companies like that. It's not talking about, you know, somebody's going out of their way. People still need to drink products, people still need to eat food, and when it's cheap type stuff, you know, they continue to go ahead and do it, okay? IRobot. So this one's an interesting one. They obviously sell Roomba vacuum cleaners and mopping products and things like that. And a name like IRobot, it's an interesting one, and here's why it's an interesting one. Because IRobot is a company that generally sells like very expensive robotic vacuum cleaners. Most of these products go $250 plus, okay? So they're absolutely a name that would get hit in a recession scenario. Some people would pull back and they're like, I don't want to go spend $350 on that Roomba. I'm going to get just a stand-up vacuum that costs $80 or something like that. And that's perfectly fine. So that's definitely a name that would get hit. But also when I think about IRobot, I think about a stock that has been severely hit already. I mean, this is a stock that if you go back, like, I don't know, probably 9 months ago, look at a stock chart on IRobot over the last 9 months. This was a stock that was like $120 plus. So the fact is, in relation to IRobot, the stock's already been hit so hard that I'm not sure that, you know, how much harder it could be hit. It probably would go down more in a recession, but my goodness, guys, that one's already been hit so hard. The valuation's come down so much already. It's already prepped like if we're gonna have a recession happen or a stock market crash or something like that in relation to IRobot, okay? JWN Nordstrom, all right? Another position we're up pretty good on, so to, you know, it would have to drop quite a bit just to go negative. But Nordstrom's an interesting one because you got to remember, a company like Nordstrom's really focusing on the top 10 income earners, the top 10% of the wealthy, and individuals like that. And when you kind of think about this, a lot of those individuals, does their wealth go down maybe in a recession scenario or something like that? Sure. You know, real estate prices drop, stock market prices drop, wealth goes down in general. Maybe they're not making as much from their businesses and things like that. However, individuals that have money are still going to have a lot of money even in a recession scenario or stock market crash. Let's say you had $10 million and you're a Nordstrom shopper, and you know, big stock market crash happens, real estate prices drop, all these different things, right? Your business is making less money. Okay, what's your wealth gone down to? Maybe $5 million? That's still plenty of money to go buy a new pair of high heels at Nordstrom, okay? Or go buy a new suit at Nordstrom. And that's one of the most beautiful things about catering to the high end of the market, because even if their wealth drops, they're still unbelievably rich at the end of the day, and they can still easily afford your type of products, okay? But a name like Nordstrom would likely get hit still in a recession scenario or stock market crash, okay? Skyworks Solutions, this is one of the most interesting ones I own. Ticker symbol SWKS, Skyworks Solutions. Once again, a position that would have to drop a ton for us to start getting destroyed on that one. But in terms of Skyworks Solutions, this is a stock that even if smartphone volumes went down and things like that, which most of their revenues that come in, they get it from different smartphone manufacturers out there, Apple, Samsung's, Google's, all the different players, Huawei, back when they were allowed to actually sell phones and whatnot, Xiaomi, a lot of these different players are huge customers of Skyworks Solutions. And so in a recession scenario and you got a big stock crash that happens, okay, smartphone volumes maybe go down a bit, but on the flip side, they have such huge potential in 5G that, in my opinion, let's say we had something bad that happened to the global economy in 2020 or 2021. Skyworks Solutions is a name that they would likely still grow revenues and still grow net income even if smartphone volumes were to drop quite a bit because of how much more content they should be selling into 5G. And if you didn't already know, basically in 2020 and 2021, all the phone manufacturers out there will be launching 5G devices, including 5G smartphones. So Skyworks Solutions is going to see a pickup in their content. So literally, it doesn't matter what pretty much happened in the economy in the short term, a company like Skyworks Solutions would still grow revenues and still grow their bottom line likely, even despite something bad happening in the global economy and a stock market crash, okay? So Skyworks Solutions, it could possibly get hit, but not much at all right? Next name up here is ticker symbol TPR, Tapestry Company, which owns brands like Coach, Stuart Weitzman, a lot of those. We're up about 30% on this particular stock, and this is another stock that's been hit extremely hard. Like just because we're up 30% on it, just don't think like everybody's up 30% on that stock. Look at the stock chart for TPR over the last year, and you're going to find that stock's down well over 50% over the past year. It has been hit big time because of the tariffs and the China situation, all those sorts of things, okay? So just because we're up 30%, believe me, most people that probably own that stock are actually down, which is in my opinion good because the valuations come down so much. So if we had a stock market crash, if we had a recession, a global, economic meltdown or something like that, it's already been hit significantly. And so I think that's a position that could potentially go negative if we had a real stock market crash and a recession, something like that. We could potentially go negative on that position, but not nearly as much as one might think, just because the stock has already been hit so insanely hard. Like literally the stock was well over double up over the past 12 months from where it is here today, okay, in relation to TPR. But as far as their businesses, yeah, there would be some pullback on some of their business lines, okay? Alrighty, next one up here is good old Tesla stock. Tesla stock, smash me a thumbs up if you were just waiting for me to talk about Tesla, okay? In regards to Tesla, so once again, another position we're up very big on, so it'd have to go very negative from here just to go down and get destroyed, because we're up over 37% on that stock. Some people are saying this stock's going to zero. It's going to $0 in the next global recession, the next stock market crash. Tesla's going to zero, they say, okay? So Tesla, let's talk about Tesla for a moment. Let's say a global recession happens over the next year, 2 years, something like that. Tesla would still grow their business, and they're the only auto manufacturer in the entire world that would legit have a chance to continue to grow their business despite a global recession, because there's just so much demand for their products. There's so much demand, and then you have Shanghai Gigafactory now getting up and running for the Chinese market. You have Model Y coming in 2020 at some point. Then likely in either 2021 or 2022, we have the truck coming, the pickup truck. There's just so much demand for Tesla and Tesla's products that even if things got ugly out there, they would still grow the business. It probably wouldn't be at nearly as fast a rate as they could if there was just like a decent economy or something like that. But literally, I can't think of another auto manufacturer in the entire world that would grow their business over the next few years if there was a major like global recession that happened. And that's just the bottom line with Tesla. They're a growth beast, and it doesn't matter pretty much what happens out there, they would still grow the business, okay? They just probably wouldn't grow it as fast of a rate. So the whole thing about, oh, they would go to zero, it's like, they have over $5 billion now in cash sitting on the balance sheet alone to ride out something like that. And never mind that, when you have that much demand, you can pretty much get money from whoever you want. And the same cannot be said for their competitors, if you want to call them their competitors. That's the bottom line there with Tesla stock, okay? Next one down here is good old Uber stock. Uber would likely get hit in a recession as far as its stock price goes, but at the end of the day, they're still like, they're still going to be there. Just because, let's say, a global recession happens or something like that, maybe people don't take as many Uber rides or something like that, but still, at the end of the day, it's just like, it's almost like a utility now, where that is like a lot of people's like main mode of transportation, or, maybe people supplement with something like Uber, especially in big cities. It's just the way it is. And then with things like Uber Eats, those businesses, all those food deliveries would likely get hit in the short term during a recession scenario or something like that, because not as many people spend as much money out to eat or something like that. So their business would absolutely be hurt in a recession scenario scenario, and the stock price would absolutely be hurt. And I would love that because I would love to build a really big position in Uber. So I actually wouldn't mind at all if that stock price went to, let's say, the 20s and we got destroyed, okay? And last one up here is good old Wynn Resorts. And this one, we're about 12%, so we need to drop a decent amount. We need to drop double digits just to get down on it. And when you think about Wynn's business, they really cater to the high-end players, the VIPs, you know, the mass, you know, the highest end of the mass play and whatnot in Macau, in Vegas. They have a property in Boston as well now. And it's absolutely a business that would get hurt in a stock market crash, a recession, something like that. It's absolutely a business that would get hurt. I could see the stock in that type of scenario going to like a $70 stock, $80 stock, something like that. I can't see it dropping nearly as far as it did basically in the 2009 recession because they just didn't have nearly as many properties up and running as they do now. Companies much more profitable and things like that, and the business model is much more proven. But I could absolutely see this one falling to like a $70, $80 range, and I would love that because I would absolutely load the boat on Wynn stock there. So needless to say, in a stock market crash scenario, I would absolutely get hit as to, you know, a certain amount. Who knows if my portfolio will go down 10%, 15%, 30%, 40%. I would absolutely get hit, and so wouldn't every other person in the stock market. Because in a real true stock market crash where things get really ugly, if you have a global, you know, economic meltdown or whatever, everybody that owns any assets gets hit, and it's just the way it goes. Now, by the way, I believe in the next recession, it will actually be a pretty tame recession, especially if you compare it to 2007 through 2009 recession. Everybody thinks like that's every recession or something like that because a lot of people, that's been the only recession they've ever gone through. That's been the only, you know, big recession they've ever gone through, so they automatically assume it's going to be like horrible like that. The stock market's going to drop 50% and real estate's going to drop, and I could save that for a whole other video, but I highly doubt that. Likely the next recession we'll see the stock market drop something between 10% and about 25%. And real estate prices in the next recession will drop very little, if at all. And actually in most recessions, real estate prices actually don't drop. It just happens to be things got so overinflated around the country going into 2005, 2006, going into 2007 in regards to real estate that it caused a ridiculous bubble in the real estate market like we had never pretty much seen in the United States of America. And that's why you saw that big of a drop in home prices. But that's a video for another day. This one was just about getting destroyed in the stock market and will I get destroyed in the next recession, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this. As always, let me know your opinion down there in that comment section. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.